All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about an ancient spiritual tradition today, but we're going to look at it in a totally different way. We're going to treat it like a science. This is all about the science of awakening. So, when you hear Tibetan spiritual tradition, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably stuff like mysticism, right? Prayer flags, ancient rituals. But what if that's just scratching the surface? What if we've been putting it in the wrong box this whole time? So let's explore a new way of looking at this. A framework that doesn't ask you to just believe in something, but instead treats this whole ancient system like a science, something you can actually test. It's a way to get past that surface level mysticism. Here's the big idea, and it's actually pretty simple, but it changes everything. We're going to reframe this whole tradition. Forget about religion for a second. Think of it as a really rigorous, super organized system for figuring out how our own minds work. Okay, so if we're going to call it a science, we need to back that up, right? Well, there's this really useful concept from the philosophy of science that fits perfectly here. It's the idea of a compact discipline. So, what in the world is a compact discipline? Basically, it's any field that has a few key things: shared goals that everyone's working toward, standard ways of doing things, and a really specific technical language for talking about it all. Like physics or chemistry have today. And here's the kicker: the Tibetan tradition. It fits this definition like a glove. You've got a whole community of people who've been talking to each other for centuries. They have refined instructions and standard procedures, and they've developed this incredibly precise technical language. It all just works together. It totally checks all the boxes for what you'd call a science of the mind. But okay, you might be wondering, how do you keep something like that going with scientific precision for literally thousands of years? Well, the answer is built right into the system. It's something called the Lineage Mechanism. Think of the lineage like an unbroken chain. Knowledge gets passed directly from a teacher to a student, who then becomes a teacher, and so on. It's a really brilliant system, and it's designed to do two crucial things. First, to preserve the knowledge so it doesn't get distorted, and second, to keep making it better and more precise with every generation. And this is where you can really see the difference. On the one hand, you have individual mystics, right? They might have these incredible, profound experiences, but they describe them in their own unique way. It's like they're reinventing the wheel every single time. But with the lineage tradition, it's the total opposite. They have a shared vocabulary that gets more and more precise over time. Each generation isn't starting from scratch. They're standing on the shoulders of the ones who came before. And get this process has been going on for a very long time. We're talking roots that go back almost 10,000 years. And then, around the 11th century, when you had these stable monastic communities popping up, they basically became these huge laboratories for this inner science. It just sped everything up. So this isn't some new age idea. It's the result of literally millennia of what you could call peer-reviewed, replicated inner research. So if it's a science, then what does it do? Well, like any good science, it produces a technology. But we're not talking about smartphones or rockets here. We're talking about a technology for human transformation. Yeah, this quote really nails it. There is a psychology. It's not mysticism, it's science. What that means is the insights we're talking about, they aren't things you just have to take on faith. They're presented as the actual results from a systematic, scientific investigation of the mind. And that leads us to the next logical step. If you've got a science of the mind, then what are the practices? They're not just random rituals. They're actually a kind of engineered technology, specifically designed to give you reliable, repeatable results. You could even make the case that this ancient software is actually better than some of our modern hardware. I mean, think about something like a biofeedback machine. You're trying to get into a certain state, but your attention is split, right? You're looking at the machine, checking the feedback. It pulls you right out of the experience. But the Pith Instructions from these lineages, that's their core essential teachings. They're designed to work directly on your mind. No distractions. It's just a cleaner, more efficient technology for being present. So what's the point of all this technology? What's the end game? Well, one of the ultimate goals is to tap into this incredible human potential. There's this amazing metaphor for it: accessing the mind's own cosmic database. Imagine a state where you're not thinking step by step, but you just have this simultaneous awareness, where all the knowledge you need is just there, instantly. And if we stick with that tech analogy, you could say that at the very core of our being is something like a computer chip, an indestructible essence that holds all the imprints of our experiences. And the technology from this tradition is all about accessing that fundamental hardware. It gives you the tools to read, write, and yeah, ultimately transform your own mental operating system. So what does this all boil down to for you and me? It means we can look at this ancient tradition as something super practical. It's the user manual for our own minds. I mean, seriously, think about it. We're all walking around with this unbelievably powerful hardware in our heads, but nobody ever gives us the instruction manual, right? Well, if you look at this tradition as a science, that's exactly what it is, a detailed guide for how to actually use the powerful mind you were born with. So to wrap it all up, what we're looking at here isn't just a bunch of beliefs you're supposed to accept. It's an ancient system of knowledge, a system that's been tested for thousands of years and engineered to create real, reliable, and repeatable changes in our own consciousness. And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? We've all seen how external technology has completely changed our world. So if this inner science really is a technology for the mind, could learning how to use it be the next great human revolution? Something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.